Three, two, one. Matthew, welcome to the call. Thank you for jumping in.
Good to see you again, Leon.
How are you, brother? All good?
All good? How are you, mate?
I'm good. I'm good. Well, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
Sure. So I'm Matt. When I joined the program, I was 22. Now I'm 23. I've been in the program for 4.5 months, possibly 5 months. When I came into the program, I had run a successful web development agency for about a year and a half, which I'd started at the age of 21. Um, I began my agency when I was also at university, finishing the final year of my degree at London School of Economics. So I kind of had a baptism of fire in business and certainly wasn't somebody who's like averse to doing hard work, but there comes a point where, inevitably you do burn out. And if you don't have the tools in place to learn how to manage yourself and learn how to manage the operations and the scaling of your business, you're going to be in real trouble. And what kind of ended up happening for me was I got to a stage where I was running low six-figure agency per year, but making really good money for my age. And it became rather demotivating, which was quite surprising because I kind of found myself at a point where I didn't actually know what was required to move forwards. We were attempting to pivot from being a web development, kind of handling all types of contracts and often many of very high complexity to being specifically focused on CRO, which is a specific niche within the web development space. And really, the aim with joining Selfmastered was um, first to kind of work on myself and get back to a very high baseline of productivity, a higher baseline than I've ever had before. Um, and then, secondly, really position my business in a way where it was systemized in a manner which would make it much easier to scale, and crucially scale focusing on the clientele that I really wanted, which would exclusively CRO customers.
Awesome. And how did it work?
Yeah, and it was good. So yeah, the program it's a bit of a weird one when you finish the program. Actually, actually a bit sad. Because you get into such a good routine of going through the material and learning new stuff that kind of you then move on to the dashboard, which you guys probably won't know about yet, but is really an amazing tool as well. So, I mean, I firstly should say I'm not somebody that I'm actually a deeply skeptical person,
I know.
and this isn't something that I would uh to be honest, I think I've always told Leon this like since I've got to know him that I think he has a really difficult job because like there's so much waffle out there and it's so difficult to separate the wheat from the chaff. Um but Leon's 100% legit. He's 100% legit, and whether you believe me saying that myself or you need to watch 10 other videos or speak to people personally or you need to know people, really no amount of testimonials is ever going to completely bridge the gap of faith. But when I hopped on a call, the initial discovery call with Leon, it was immediately apparent to me that this is somebody who has thought about the subject matters that he has produced his business around in excruciating depth over a number of years, bordering nearly on a decade now. And I think that you can clearly see when you speak to people whether they've got a passion for their craft or not. And you can tell so from the amount of detail that they can go in. Because if you're realistically a six, seven-figure entrepreneur coming into even a discovery call with Leon, you probably know a decent amount. You probably think you know a decent amount about productivity. Probably think you know a decent amount about scaling your business. Probably think you know a decent amount about managing yourself and managing all different components of your life. But I think all it takes is probably a 1 hour conversation with Leon to realize that you're probably scratching the surface. And that's a fantastic indicator to say that you're in the right place to grow. I mean, the program has been the thing is there's several different components to it, right? There's the actual course material, there's the one-on-ones, there's the masterminds, um, there's the community where you can ask questions and receive feedback. To touch briefly on kind of each of them, the material in the course is is phenomenal. and I recently wrote a bit of a treatise on how to get the most out of the course, which I put in the community.
I appreciate it.
But my yeah, exactly. My key takeaway really was the more depth that you go into with the deliverables, and there's usually one deliverable mapped to each exercise in each module, the better the results that you're going to get. These are module the quality of the deliverables, let alone the course material, is exceptionally high, and that's been validated for me by I had a friend who was a psychologist look at the workbooks and the worksheets that we are asked to fill in. And bearing in mind, we have to probably across the whole course, you do 55 of them. And they were like, this is way more legit than anything that we give to our clients. And they're working in like one of the higher end um, psychotherapy clinics in London. And that's fascinating because this isn't even a
Dude,
psychology program.
didn't know that.
Uh,
That's fantastic.
yeah, so that was the feedback they gave me. And I was like, okay, because I thought so, but it's good to have validation from that perspective.
Of course.
Um, and that was predominantly module two, so the stuff focused more on like ACT and CBT. The one-to-ones are interesting because when you come into the course, you will immediately think, right? You'll think that you need more one-to-ones than you need. So one of my reservations before I joined the program was that I thought that 4 one-on-ones wouldn't be enough. It's just wrong because you can learn if you're doing the deliverables properly and you're learning and you're challenging yourself enough with the accountability from the one-on-ones with the community. You don't need endless one. Leon's probably happy because this helps him scale his business. But the less contact hours, there's only so many hours in a day. But it's true because there's a concept you'll come across in all of the modules, which is that of infinite wisdom, which is that the reality is you know the material will help you to unlock the answers that are within, but then you can kind of execute on your own accord. And the more actually, I would argue that you become dependent on the goal is not to become dependent on Leon's responses or advice. He's
Exactly.
not a guru. The goal is to be able to troubleshoot your own life, be that yourself or your business, and execute accordingly based on that concept of infinite wisdom and the answers that you've come across. So the one-on-ones exceptionally helpful, but probably not the most critical point, which was something that I would have been surprised about. Um, the group one-on-ones are fantastic. You're literally outsourcing whatever problems you're facing in your business or wins that you want to share or accountability you want to be held to probably 10 to 20, 7, 8 figure sometimes entrepreneurs um, weekly. You know that and you can help them with their problems as well. Don't feel like you have everybody has insights because people are from all different niches and domains. But being able to outsource outsource insight to that quality of person is very difficult. And you know, there are programs like Mentor Pass that are exceptionally expensive relative to the course, or the mastermind. Um, and from an ROI standpoint, that's a ludicrous ROI. Finally, the people in the community. You it can't be promised because it depends on your service, but will, you know, you'll probably pick up clients
Of
from
course I do. Of
joining the community,
course I do. Yeah.
from joining the community anyways. Um, so when you know, obviously the biggest reservation to begin with will always be the ROI. For me, the ROI has been unbelievable. Like, you know, you can't quantify ROI in self, you can feel it. But my ability to manage myself, to eradicate any bad behaviors or standards that I didn't want both in my personal life and in my business have been phenomenal. The other joy is that I never need to read a self-development book ever again.
Ever again.
You just don't. It's covered in, you know, if anything got added to that literature, it would probably be incorporated into the modules anyways. Yeah, I mean, I could go on for days.
Dude, absolutely love it because this is what I needed, like to really bring perspective on everything that we do and how it had shaped you. So I'm really honored that this is your experience so far. And how do you, let's talk about a transformation, right? Because Again, you mentioned lack of clarity, how to scale this. Should I work on myself? Should I work on the business? Should I change my business model? Like there was too many things on your head in the when we first engaged. You've gone through this process. Now, how things have changed in terms of your how you manage your mind, how you manage your time, how you manage your business, how much you work, how much the revenue business you can share that, thoughts if you can share, like anything you want to share in terms of, okay, after all of this process of deep transformation, working deliverables, and uh, connecting with people that are at the same level or beyond in terms of revenue, in terms of challenges, in terms of performance, what has happened in 4 months, roughly?
Yeah, certainly. I would say that my day to day is significantly, I'm significantly happier, significantly more fulfilled. So to begin with the self, those are two um certainly significant wins. I would say the quality of clientele that I'm able to attract now, because of my understanding of the core philosophy at the center of Self-Mastered, which is that of system building, um, and cause and effect is exceptional. I'm working with a higher caliber of person than I've ever worked with before. And as a consequence, my business has grown from probably when I started around USD, probably like 25K, 30K per month to about 50K regularly, monthly with a higher quality of client. Um, and in addition to that, um, I am, that uh, it's only not a finished article. I'm still only 23, but
Of
there are
course.
there are this is what I'd like to think. I would like to think that Self-Mastered has helped me to graduate to new challenges. I was kind of stuck in a phase of handling the same problems for about 9 months, and I feel like I've ascended to the next level of challenges and businesses and of myself, which is fantastic and s- s- probably would have taken 2 years otherwise. So I would say I've probably condensed business wise 2 maybe 3 years of growth into 4 months. Um, Personally, it's not quantifiable, possibly decades. Um, you know, I can say more than most that Leon's legit because when you go through the program, you'll be filtering out aspects or behaviors from your life that you didn't necessarily um you can't get rid of them from day one. Don't go into the program thinking that on day one your whole life's going to change. This is, Tony Robbins has a series on Netflix called I'm Not Your Guru. It's a similar concept, right? Which is that you shouldn't go in with these kind of expectations. These things happen gradually, but there will be challenges that hit you in your personal and professional life during the program, and it will be you can judge the efficacy of the program on your ability to bounce back from those. And based on that criteria, I can say that um yeah, I mean the aim of self-mastered is for this to be one of the best decisions that you make in your life. I remember listening to that statement and thinking that was ridiculous comment. It's probably in my instance, I would say it's probably true. Now, bear in mind, I haven't had as much life experience as other people.
Of
Some people in
course.
the course of 40, 50. For me, at this stage in my life, I'd say it's top three, certainly.
Dude, I absolutely love it. This is what I live for. This is what purpose looks like. Thank you for sharing that. Everything we do is purposeful. So, dude, what can I say? I'm so happy to have you on the program. So honored having the community. Um, and can't wait to keep scaling with you and keep working together. The good thing about Submaster is that now you have the tools to graduate to the higher level of consciousness by yourself and literally transcend your old self on your own pace, right? You don't need me, as you well said. You have the tools, you have the mental models, you can go through it again. We can always chat, but the idea is you are already self-mastered. Now is how many flywheels, how many kind of compounding actions and habits and thoughts and emotions we can put in the right direction to get there, right? That is the whole point of it. And
100%.
last question, who do you think this is for, right? Because we've talked about this the kind of the depth of the material, the transformation. Who do you think this is for? What kind of entrepreneur or non-entrepreneur? What are your thoughts on that?
I can't think of many people this isn't for. that are running a business or have aspirations of achieving great things in their life. And the reason why I say that is because like I've had a better education than most. Like top school, top university. You're not taught these things. There's a gap in the current education system, especially if you want to be an entrepreneur, towards understanding systems, understanding the kind of key domains of business and what are the levers that move each of those domains, understanding the key domains of your personal life and what are the levers that allow you to have a more fulfilling and functional life there. And I mean, there's not one person on the planet for whom a base understanding of this kind of material is not useful. I mean, there's obviously going to be a financial cap on whether you have the ability to join the program or not. But so to that end, you probably want to have battled with some of these concepts on your own before you come into the program. But who hasn't? Who hasn't had difficulty trying to become more productive? Who hasn't had more difficulty trying to scale their business? Who hasn't had difficulty transmuting a thought into action? Most people. And so if you've had trouble in any of these domains, this is the highest quality uh, for 5 figures or less, right? This is the highest quality solution to any of those problems that you'll find on the internet. I can't speak for 6-figure, 7-figure programs. I can't access that kind of material. I don't think I'll ever need to. But this is the highest quality product on the market below 5 figures, 100%. And I've done substantial research, and I was in communities prior to this that had the vision of creating something similar to Selfmastered, like Ultra Working, who have now
Hmm. Hmm.
they're not around anymore. This is a completely different caliber.
Thank you, mate. I'm honored. What can I say? Community is made attracting elite people like you, and this is my goal: train you, coach you, support you, mentor you, and help you scale. If someone was on the fence, what would you tell them? If someone didn't have a clear idea of exactly what's a master, what is it? Should they join? Should they not? Could they figure this out by themselves? What would you tell them?
Take the leap. You're not going to be certain about anything. If you're 90% confident, take the leap. If you're 80% confident, take the leap. You will know very quickly that this is the right place for you. I haven't seen anybody come into the community since I joined 5 months ago that hasn't flourished to that end. Since what I've observed is 100% success rate, and it's actually not a rose-tinted glasses perspective, because I've met all of these people on the masterminds and on the weekly calls. So take the leap. You could learn this material on your own, but if you were willing to do that, you would create Self-Mastered yourself eventually, because you would have spent 100 hours a week reading dozens of books um, of academic caliber, and eventually you'd probably want to start a business helping people with the insights you have had yourself. So you'd basically be doing what Leon does anyways. So, if you want that to be your life's purpose, sure, create a competitor product. You'll be 6 years behind, but do that. If you want to use this as a conduit for personal and professional development in a short period of time, just join the program.
Dude, thank you very much for your kind words. This is exactly, hopefully, what elite people like you that are on the fence need to join. And then now let's devote time to build your 2024 plan and make sure that we can take you to the next level, both personally and professionally. All right. Thank you very much, Matthew, for jumping in.
Cheers.